Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. This video is specifically for those who want to increase the odds of getting into the best architecture program possible. So if you're applying for architecture in the future, keep watching. Hey guys, so we have a very special guest here today, my colleague Maya. Hi Maya.
Hiya.
Good to see you again. So Maya is a graduate of Cambridge and is working with myself and other colleagues helping A&J students with their tutoring, university admissions. So Maya, please tell us what can a 14-year-old do? Well, first of all, someone thinking about architecture, when do they need to start preparing for applying?
So I would say I started really thinking about what I wanted to do for university level when I was around 16.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're 14 or 15, you're already ahead of the game. So I'm sure you'll be really well prepared. But when I was 16, I wanted to really get a feel of what architecture and architects did in their day-to-day life. So I did sort of look around for some work experience. And luckily enough, I found a building project, a design project with AHMM Architects with a project called Miniplex. And it was a really fun sort of 2-week project where we designed and built a sculpture right next to St. Paul's Cathedral in London. And it was a really fun project. It was very hands-on. And it's a really nice opportunity for young people to sort of learn about architects and sort of the construction and sort of what can go wrong on building day and sort of having the satisfaction of building something yourself. And I think that's what really sparked my interest in the subject. So following this first sort of design project, I sort of followed up with the architecture firm and I looked for an architecture work experience placement with them. And that was really interesting. I was with them for sort of 2 weeks. I was learning sort of new 3D modelling software. I built my own model and I was really discussing with different architects what their own experience was in the field. I had some really good mentors while I was on my work experience. So I think that sort of set me up well for sort of starting out as a young aspiring architect. I took 2 approaches to architecture. I was interested in the architecture side, but I was also interested in urban design and planning because I knew some architects do transition over and the two can be interlinked. And it's important because I was considering the built environment holistically because I think it's really important to think about architecture in its context. And I think some young architects sort of see buildings in isolation, but that's really not the case. So I contacted my local council and I found some more work experience in my local planning department.
So you just cold emailed them basically?
Yeah, so they were sort of really open to sort of me going in. I think your local council sort of tends to be sort of quite ready to sort of give you the opportunity.
Okay, so you didn't know someone, or this wasn't through your mum or dad. You just took the initiative and sent an email, and they replied.
Yeah, I would definitely give it a go. I think your local council they can be quite friendly, and they really want to give their sort of young people a chance. And I think they did sort of appreciate me going in sort of at the age I was at, so maybe around 16, and they appreciated me being so sort of enthusiastic going in. Yeah. And I actually got really lucky while I was there on that work experience. A local redevelopment plan for the next sort of 5 or 10 years was going on, and I came into contact with another really big design firm in London, Allies & Morrison, and I did meet some architects from that firm, and I also followed up with them and I got some work experience with them. So as you can see, you can sort of
one thing leads to another.
Yeah, you can sort of build upon the contacts you meet in the field, and it was sort of pure luck. I put myself in the right position, I met the right people, and once again I think people are sort of quite willing to sort of foster a young interest in architecture. And while I was at Allies & Morrison, I did some work experience in the urban planning department. So I think at that age, I was just sort of trying to gauge my interest in the subject. I didn't pick one thing and just sort of focus solely on that. I sort of explored different areas of architecture and sort of where I could really gauge my real levels of interest. And I think I can't recommend work experience highly enough. I think it's sort of great to meet people, you gain different contacts, and it's really hands-on, and you get to see what you'll be doing in sort of the years after your graduation. I think work experience it's really good.
Work experience.
It's really good and very fun. I think summer schools can also be quite good. I think you can probably find some summer schools online, just to sort of look at how to upskill. So you want to think about model making, which you might not have done at your school, but also there are often some portfolio workshops you can find, especially in the city or online. I think that advice can be very useful because some schools don't necessarily offer portfolio tutorials within their department because you might not study architecture, or quite simply some teachers don't have enough time. So I think looking for opportunities for you to speak to people about your portfolio can be really important.
No, it makes sense. And guys, I talk a lot about, sending cold emails and how they really work. If you cold email 200-300 people with a polite, respectful email, you're not sort of being a nuisance, and you follow up because a lot of people will ignore you, you will be surprised how many positive responses you will get. And people, even if it's just a 15-minute Zoom call or a coffee, right, where people are happy to, to talk about their experience, that's something you can put into a personal statement and, and say, at school we've done X, I read Y book, I've watched A YouTube course or, video, and, I spoke to this architect and this is what I learned. All of this stuff does add up and does prove to the university, whatever architecture school, that you're someone who's keen and someone who's taken initiative, which sounds like exactly what you did.
And it really does help you to really solidify your interest in the subject, and it makes you a really strong applicant, I think, doing so and being really certain that this is what you want to do.
Okay. So, Maya, we have, in terms of applying for architecture in the UK, so we have the UCAS application form, so the personal statement, the reference, the predicted grades, your GCSEs, and then you have, for Cambridge specifically, we know that there are extra tests and the portfolio, but are there extra tests and portfolio for other universities as well, or is that just Cambridge and, UCL, etc.?
So your portfolio will be sort of a requirement for all architecture schools across the country. I think the admission tests are quite specific to Cambridge, but some schools do ask you to do a drawing task, and they might often ask you to write a small brief, small piece of writing, maybe just something less than a page, to discuss the drawings you have done. So I think, once again, it's just testing the same skills, the skills you already have in your portfolio, your critical awareness skills, and your interest and understanding of the built environment already. So this helps for universities to sort of understand why you want to study architecture even further, because obviously if you haven't studied it before, they do need a bit more information.
That's right.
About why you're certain architecture is for you.
So they want to know that you're really invested in architecture and want to do this, rather than you've been bullied by your parents and society pressures to go into it.
And I think all of these admission tests do sort of allow you to express the skills that you are able to blend two different disciplines. Maybe it be maths and physics, your creative side, or even the history element. So I think these are what the admission tests really focus on.
And guys, a tip from myself, really important for you, and I talk about it in every second video, really important for you to invest in the relationship with your referee, so that they know what you're putting into your personal statement, and that they can write extra things, so they can reinforce the stuff that you have in your personal statement, and maybe they can add extra new stuff that you don't have the space for, but that will go in really well. So, stuff like, I took the initiative and I participated in this, maybe sounds a bit cheesy coming from you, so you can keep that space talking about literature and the drawings and other stuff, analysis, but it sounds a little better if it comes from your referee saying, Sunny or Maya, these really motivated students, not only they're kicking ass in their A-levels, but they're also finding time to secure this extra, stuff, X, Y, Z. So, and this is only possible if you have a good relationship with your referee.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have a good relationship? Well, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I had a really good relationship with my subject teachers at school, and I think my art teacher as well was a big mentor for me. So once again, like you just said, Sunny, I did sort of inform her when I was doing other extracurricular projects, like the design projects, the work experience, and she was really supportive and encouraging me for this. One piece of advice I would give you, which I was told at the time, is to document everything you're doing. All of these extracurriculars and supporting activities which will help your application. For example, if you did a design and build project, make sure you photograph it, you take lots of pictures, because 2 years down the line when you comes to applying, you need to show proof of these activities, and you already have the photos to put it in. it will save you so much time rather than having to sort of contact 3 different people to chase these photographs 2 years later. So I would say make sure you document everything, even all of your drawings. Make sure you keep them all in one place, any photography. I think it's really good to have a visual record, and I think that's something which architects do in their sort of practice in their daily life, and you'll learn it even more when you come to university. So if you remember this before you enter your degree, you'll be doing well.
That's really good advice. Maya, just wrapping this up, final top 3 tips for students aspiring architects. What should they do?
Aspiring architects, so speak to as many architects in the field as possible, so you really understand what type of architecture you like. I would say, once again, record everything you've been doing. So all of your creative endeavours, all of your model making, and I think be experimental. I think that's really important for young architects. So try different mediums, try different types of sort of subjects around architecture you're interested in, and I think this will make your application stronger if you have a wide range of skills going into your degree.
Thanks. Well, there you have it. So if you were thinking of architecture and you're still not 100% committed to it and still not enthusiastic after watching this video, it's probably not for you. But for those of you who have watched it and who now have more energy and more more keen to apply, great. Really glad this was useful. Guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Why? Because the more likes and subscribes we have, the more people this can reach, to whom this can be useful. So we put a lot of work into this. Would really appreciate it. But for now, Maya, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers.